All right, today we're tackling a topic that's, well, it's super important, but one we often shy away from. We're talking about how to navigate sexual health and intimacy when you or your partner is living with a chronic illness. I know, it's a sensitive subject, but it's such a crucial part of our lives. So let's dive in.
So let's just put it out there, right? What actually happens when a chronic illness enters the bedroom? It's a challenge that can feel so isolating, so deeply personal. But you know what? It's a reality for millions of people. And today, we're going to look that reality straight in the eye and talk about a clear, compassionate path forward.
And here's the thing. It all comes back to a simple, fundamental truth. Our sexuality is a necessary part of our overall health. I get it. When you're juggling symptoms, doctor's appointments, medications, it's so easy for this to slide to the bottom of the list. But it's deeply tied to our self-worth, our relationships, and just our general happiness.
You see, the way a chronic illness affects intimacy isn't just one single thing. It's this complex web of physical, psychological, and relational layers. And honestly, understanding these different pieces is the absolute first step toward figuring it all out. So let's break them down.
Okay, so first, let's talk about the direct physical stuff. Pain and fatigue. I mean, those are massive energy thieves, right? Then you have medications, which are lifesavers, but can come with side effects like a lower sex drive or other physical issues. And depending on the illness, you might be dealing with anything from limited mobility to nerve damage or hormonal shifts that just get in the way. And of course, all that physical stuff, it bleeds right into the emotional and psychological side of things. Living with an illness can do a real number on your body image and self-esteem. There's often this gnawing anxiety, a fear of causing yourself pain, or just a fear of not being able to perform. You add the stress and grief that just comes with the territory of managing a long-term condition, and it's no wonder that desire can take a nosedive.
And from there, you can see how it starts to impact the relationship itself. Communication can just stop. Not because you don't care, but because you're afraid of saying the wrong thing or feeling rejected. Sometimes the dynamic shifts, and a partner can start to feel more like a caregiver, which really changes the vibe. Spontaneity? That can go right out the window, and the stress becomes this shared burden that can really test a couple.
And if you're feeling like you're the only one going through this, well, check out this number. Up to 76% of people with chronic conditions also report issues with sexual function. What that really means is, if this is you, you are so far from being alone. This is a common and honestly an expected part of the journey.
Okay, so that's the heavy stuff, the challenges. But what can you do about it? Well, the really good news is that there are actual professional frameworks out there designed specifically to help you start these conversations and find a way forward.
One really amazing resource is occupational therapy, or OT, and here's why it's such a game changer. OTs officially call sexual activity an activity of daily living, or an ADL. Think about that. They put it in the same category as essential things like bathing or dressing. It totally reframes the issue. It's not a luxury, it's a fundamental part of life that deserves attention and support.
Which brings us to the big, looming question, right? Where do you even begin? How do you bring this up with a doctor or even your partner without it feeling incredibly awkward? Well, believe it or not, healthcare professionals actually have a tool for this.
It's called the PLICIT model, and think of it like a roadmap for the conversation. It starts with P, for permission. The doctor literally opens the door and gives you permission to talk about it. Then, LI, for limited information. They give you the basic facts about how your condition might affect things. Next is SS, specific suggestions. This is where you get practical advice, tailored just for you. And finally, IT, for intensive therapy. If the issues run deep, they'll refer you to a specialist. It's a structure that puts you in the driver's seat.
And, things evolve. Now there's the explicit model, which is a great update. It basically takes that permission piece and puts it right at the heart of every single interaction. This makes sure that the dialogue about sexual health isn't just a one-and-done conversation, but something that can be revisited anytime.
Okay, so we've talked about the clinical frameworks. Let's get really practical. Let's talk about adaptive strategies you can actually use to start redefining what intimacy looks like for you. This is where you get to be creative and take back some control.
And just look at how specific and honestly how simple some of these adaptations can be. It's not about some vague advice. If you have arthritis, maybe it's just about using pillows for support or trying a side-lying position. If you have a condition like COPD and you worry about stamina, it could be as simple as choosing a position where you're less active. It's all about problem-solving together.
And we can build on that, creating a whole toolkit of strategies you can draw from. Think about your environment. Plan things for when your energy is at its peak. Time your pain meds. And this one is huge. Psychologically, shift your focus.
Make it about connection and pleasure, not about hitting some kind of finish line. Talk to each other. And hey, don't be afraid to explore things like toys or lubricants that can help bridge some of those physical gaps.
You know, all of this communication and teamwork points to a really powerful concept: dyadic coping. It's a fancy term for something pretty simple. It means you stop treating the illness as one person's problem and you start treating it as a shared challenge you face together. It's about becoming a team, having each other's backs, and tackling the stuff as a unit. And that can be a total game changer.
And that's where the real magic happens, right? When you realize intimacy is so much bigger than just intercourse. It's a huge, beautiful spectrum. It's emotional closeness. It's sensual touch. It's laughing together. It's exploring all the different ways you can find pleasure that works for both of you, right here, right now. It's about connection, pure and simple. So as we start to wrap this up, I think the big takeaway is that the goal isn't to get back to the way things were. It's about being creative and brave enough to find a new normal, a new way of connecting that can be just as, if not more, satisfying. There's this quote that I think just perfectly captures the spirit of this. It says that reclaiming your sexual agency is one of the most powerful, radical acts of self-love a patient has. It's not just about sex, it's about taking back a piece of yourself and affirming that you are more than your illness. It's an act of empowerment.
So I want to leave you with one final question to think about. After hearing all this, what is just one small step, one tiny thing you could do to open this conversation? Maybe it's just writing down a question for your doctor, or finding an article to share with your partner. That first small step can feel like the hardest, but it's also the most important one you can take.